Well, buen camino, pilgrims. This is Jeremiah Gibbs. I am your Camino guide, and today I want to have part 2 of the video that I started last week. I'll put a link in the description to part 1 where I talked about sort of the trail that I experienced that I had on the week that I spent hiking Appalachian Trail, and comparing that to Camino de Santiago. See that other video if you want to hear just the differences in the path itself and the logistics of hiking those 2 different paths. This video is really going to focus in on the relationships and how relationships form on the Appalachian Trail, and comparing that to how relationships form and kind of the quality of those relationships on Camino de Santiago. And so stick around if you want to learn about how these relationships form and what that may look like for you when you walk Camino de Santiago. If you like this video, click the like button. That sends the video out to others who are interested in Camino things, and so I certainly appreciate it if you would click that like button to help the video be seen by others like you who will enjoy it. And also, if you want to click subscribe, that's a great way for you to get the training videos and the logistics videos and the gear videos that I do as you prepare for Camino de Santiago. I think you'll find lots of the videos on this channel helpful, so I hope that you'll subscribe. We'll get right to it, and what you're going to see is a series of sort of clips that I made during my walk where I talked about the relationships, and these are kind of in sequential order as you kind of walk through the days with me on the trail, and you can get a sense for the relationships that I discovered there.
So we just spent a day at Trail Days, which is the big hiker festival here, and got a chance to just kind of listen to some of the stories of the hikers and so on. And I think one of the things that I just noticed right away was that the culture of the relationships is very, very different in the Appalachian Trail circle. First of all, it's a lot younger. There's a lot of 20 and 30 somethings as part of this community. There's a lot more sort of what you might think of as like hippie culture too, you know, tattoos and long beards and kind of grungy culture, which is not really the culture of Camino at all. So it's a little different there, and I would say that this Trail Days experience, if you are into partying and so on, the parties and stuff here are great. You can probably hear the people in the background now still. This is about 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, and they're just getting started. There's lots of parties, drum circles, people drinking and doing drugs and whatever else back in the back. But so if you're into partying, then the Trail Days here is just amazing. I would say that otherwise, you know, it's a mediocre festival. It's not that it's bad. It's certainly fun. There's, you know, good music and good food and whatever else, but not something that's you know, a must-have kind of experience as far as I'm concerned. But we did get to hear some cool stories and some of the hikers and some of their stories, and that's been good. And now we're going to bed tonight, and then in the morning we are going to go drop off a car kind of up the trail and meet a couple of friends, and then we'll start hiking tomorrow.
I'm going to try to film this while I walk uphill, which is never a good idea, but I'll walk slow and hopefully I can talk to you. But I wanted to take a minute, a little bit after I've been on the trail for about 4 days, I guess it is now, to talk about the differences that I've noticed in the relationships that I've seen out here. You know, Camino relationships really start so quickly. I often talk about people meeting somebody at a bar along the way, and within just a few minutes you're talking about your blisters and showing your injuries and talking about the things that really matter about your life and why you're out there on Camino and things like that. So it really happens pretty quickly. One of the things I've noticed about relationships out here is, first of all, people don't talk about those things very much. They tend not to talk about what's going on back at home, really even about their job or their relationships or anything like that. So that's kind of an odd kind kind of circumstance. I really don't understand that. There may be something about people just coming to the trail to escape some of their stuff at home, you know. So I think that's a little different. I think it's also different that a lot of the relationships here seem to form as they walk along the long trail. So folks that are on the trail for a long time, the thru hikers, form these groups, tramily, and they can become pretty deep relationships. But even there, I don't hear them talking about things in their life and stuff like that. Maybe they're having those conversations when I'm not around, but it just seems like the conversations are maybe less deep. But I also think the AT friendships that are formed, because they stay together for so long. On Camino, oftentimes you may walk with somebody for a day or so and then you kind of move on. Somebody walks faster than you or whatever. On the AT, it seems like a lot of these relationships are being kept over weeks. They look out for each other in a pretty clear way and that kind of thing. So I think that's pretty awesome. But for me, the Camino relationships are really a gift, because, you know, so often we form those relationships and they can have such a significance for us, even in minutes. And then sometimes, of course, you do decide to walk together for a long period of time and you develop those relationships in a really significant way. But a lot of times, what I've noticed out here is that it's just taken a lot longer for folks to get to sort of the most important things about life, I think. And I think really that difference comes down to the reasons that people are on the trail. I think a lot of Camino pilgrims recognize they're going on a pilgrimage. They recognize they're going on a journey that's about life transformation. And maybe folks out here imagine this to be about life transformation too. I don't know that I've heard language like that. I think a lot more it's about just a challenge, you know. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in the video about the trail itself and the dynamics there. But I think because they're here for different reasons, maybe that has a difference of why the relationships start differently too. So anyway, just a few observations after about 4 days on trail that I've noticed, and I hopefully will have some more as I go along and talk to some more people. Buen Camino. So to tell you guys a little bit about one of the kind of cultural things that's really interesting about the Appalachian Trail is there's this whole culture of trail magic. For our Camino friends, we sometimes talk about the Camino provides, where, you know, you might find a poncho when you're missing a poncho, or you know, you're really thirsty and you come upon a fountain at the right time or something like that. When we talk about Camino provides, and there's also this dynamic on Camino about just the hospitality of the folks who are there serving as hospitaleros and in the restaurants and so on, the bars and so on. But there's something a little bit different on Appalachian Trail, in part because you are just really out in the middle of nowhere for so much, and for so often on the trail you don't have the resources you need, and you're just trying to find water, you're just trying to find a place to go to the bathroom and things like that. But there's a culture around the Appalachian Trail known as trail magic. And trail magic is when people
kind of intentionally set up gifts and hospitality and meet the needs of the hikers that are hiking through. So we just got done with one of the guys said this is like the grand slam of trail magic. Valley View Baptist Church here on the trail, about mile marker 525 on the Appalachian Trail, set up this weekend long kind of trail magic for folks. So they had drinks and cookies and stuff up on the trail for those that wanted it, and hung signs that said Friday night they could come down and have pizza, and they had this big resupply and opportunities to get food and first aid items and ankle braces and little Bibles and tracts for those that wanted those, all available in their fellowship hall here in the church, and people could use the bathrooms, and we camped out. You can see behind me probably some of the folks still camping out here in the churchyard. But this is really kind of a bigger version of a trail magic that happens all along the way as people leave food or leave drinks or hand out drinks. I think I mentioned already that Onesimus, one of the hikers, was giving out ice cream at one of the intersections, the road intersections, you know. So we had a really wonderful trail magic here with pizza and so on last night, and they're gonna smoke some pork later today for folks that are here. But I want to tell you about another trail angel trail magic that we experienced the other day. We'd come out of the trail and to where my car was parked. My truck was parked about halfway through the trail, so that we could resupply and that kind of a thing. And that was the point where a couple of the people who were in my group were getting off the trail and we're going back home, and we had a trail angel show up right at the right moment, and he was able to, first of all, help us shuttle my car to the end of the place that we're going to hike to. So we moved my car up to where we're ending the hike today, and then he also drove those two friends all the way back to Damascus, so about an hour drive back there. And he was just, you know, his wife is on the trail. I'll tag his Insta. I think it's Snoopy at the. I'll tag his Insta in the video for this, but he's, you know, just. His wife is on the trail and he's just supporting hikers all along the way. I remember in their car ride, he said, you know, I found a new purpose in my life as I've been able to help people along the trail. And so this is really kind of an interesting dynamic that happens on Appalachian Trail, with this trail magic dynamic that I think is pretty unique in comparison with Camino. So it's been really cool to kind of get to see some of that as well.
I hope that you found that really helpful to be able to hear how relationships were formed on the trail. For those of you that maybe have been on Appalachian Trail, this may be helpful for you to understand how it happens on Camino as well, as I make some of those comparisons. But also, I hope for those of you who are Camino veterans and considering maybe you'd walk Appalachian Trail, I hope this will be informative about sort of how you may want to do that. Click the like button if this has been really valuable to you. That'll help YouTube send it out to others. And click the subscribe button if you would like help preparing for your Camino and some of the gear and logistics videos that we have on this channel. Buen Camino.